What is up, guys? Today I am here in the back room of Jimmy Suds Car Wash to get their sprinkler system blown out for the winter. Summer of 2020, I actually revamped this entire system because it was basically just in ruins. It was not kept up with by the previous owners of this car wash, but now we've got all Hunter products. We've got Hunter Pro Spray PRS 40 bodies out in most of the yard here, and of course the nozzles on those heads are Hunter MP rotators, and in the larger field area of the yard we've got Hunter I-20 stainless steel rotors, which is a very nice upgrade from the crap that was here before. So we're gonna go ahead and get started on winterizing the sprinkler system. There's a bunch of pretty cool stuff back here. Right here we actually have the detergent for the tri-foam in the wash. Up here we have some controls for it. It's all pretty neat, but what we're actually looking for is way down there on the other end of this back room. So right back here, guys, we have a couple of salt tanks for the spot-free rinse that this wash does, but to the left of that we have the sprinkler controller. Now this looks like a pretty small controller, and that's because it is. Like, check this out. This thing's not that big, although it does support up to 16 zones, which is pretty cool. But the main benefit to this thing, you see that little Wi-Fi symbol up there? You can actually control this through your phone, which is going to make this whole process a lot easier without having to come all the way back here every time it's time to change a zone. Now behind the salt tanks is where the backflow preventer slash vacuum brake deal is. Right there, and behind this giant power wire, I already have the fitting plugged in for the air line that we're going to be connecting. So this being a car wash, they of course have some gigantic compressors. This is actually the secondary one. This Sullivan little teal one right here is the main one. This thing is a 3-phase absolute monster of a unit. It's actually not too loud either. You'll hear it in just a second when I fire it up to pressurize the tank, but the output is right here. There's multiple outputs that go all over the wash, but the one we're going to use is right here. I've got it shut off for right now, but it goes through this little coiled hose and ends right here. So we got to get this from here all the way to the back end of this back room. So to do that, we're going to use, I believe this is 100 feet worth of air hose extensions. So we're just going to daisy chain these things together and then get going on winterizing the system. All right, we'll give you a little run up on this air compressor. I know it's already pretty loud back here from everything else that's running, but you'll still get an idea of how quiet this is for how big of a compressor it is anyway. So it's not too terribly loud, being a absolute beast of a 3-phase air compressor. This thing also will hold whatever pressure you have the regulator set at while it's running. Even if the tank's completely empty, as long as it's running, it's still going to hold that pressure, which also makes this process a lot faster. So we're going to go ahead and let it fully pressurize. As you can see, it's not too warm right now because it's actually been off for a few hours, because this is after hours here at this car wash. And for those wondering, no, it's not an oil-free compressor. You can see the oil filters right here. But while this thing is pressurizing, I'm going to go ahead and get this air hose all ran to the back. Alright, so the compressor is fully pressurized. As you can see, it's not running. However, the switch is in the auto position. There is a run position as well, but that just runs it continuously, and you don't want to do that because that's how you cause pretty big problems. But regardless, we've got that little coiled hose going into our yellow hose, and then that runs all the way down to the back of the back room. As you can see right here, it's going right into the backflow preventer deal. So this controller here actually has a little touch screen on it along with capacitive buttons to the right of it, but we're not even gonna have to touch it because, as I said earlier, we can run it from my phone. All right, so before we go ahead and get started with actually blowing the sprinklers out, we need to open the air valves. Now there's actually two. There's this one here, and then all the way down there on the backflow preventer, there is a small ball valve on the input where this hose leads to. Now, it's actually pretty important to do this in order. You're gonna wanna turn your pressure side on first, because if you don't do that, you risk having any extra pressure that's built up in the actual sprinkler line going back through your air hose and potentially getting into your compressor, which is just never a good thing. So we're gonna go ahead and open our pressure side first right here, and you'll be able to see that little pressure gauge slowly increase here. Gonna open the valve slowly. There we go. Now, I normally don't recommend using this much pressure to blow out your sprinkler system, but because the freaking city water pressure here is over 120 PSI, it's gonna be fine doing 120 PSI air pressure because it handles that much water pressure to begin with. It's really not gonna hurt anything, but at your house, I would really recommend maybe 60 to 80. So I'm not sure I'll actually be able to film the opening of this valve because it's just so cramped back here. But basically the gist of it is there's a little flathead screw bit up at the top there. You turn that parallel with the air hose here and it'll let air into the sprinkler line. Not sure how well you were able to hear that, but if you take a look right back there, that valve is now open. So we should theoretically be good to turn on zone 1 and see some water come out of the lines. So the first zone is actually right here in this little patch of grass next to the exit of the car wash tunnel. And as I said previously, we're actually able to operate the timer with my phone. So as you can see right here, this is our first zone. We're gonna go ahead and hit start for 5 minutes. That'll be fine. And there it is. Now, I notice these lines hold quite a bit of water, so this will take, you know, at least 5 minutes a zone. But as you can see, there's our nice MP rotators right here. I believe these are the 1000 series because this is such a little area. We didn't need them to go super far. That's the sound you want to hear, guys. Making progress. That lasted for about 2-ish minutes, looking like it was just running off of the city water pressure. So as I said, these lines do hold quite a bit of water. I believe it's because they're full-on 1-inch lines under here, but I'm not entirely sure. So in all honesty, with only, we'll call that 2.5 heads still putting out basically normal water, you'd probably be fine leaving it like that. But I usually like to run it until all of them are just pushing air. And as I said, that compressor being able to hold pressure as long as it's running, no matter how empty the tank is very nice. Because with the normal compressor like I have at home, we'd have to wait for it to repressurize every minute or so of use. We're down to the last one here. All the other ones are basically just putting out air at this point. This last one's just still holding on. I've got no idea why these lines hold so much water, but they do. But as you can see, all the other ones are just blowing air at this point. It's a little dark out here, but there they are. It's just this one. But what's nice is this has been running for about 10 minutes now, and I have not had to turn off any valves. Oh, it looks like we're almost out now. So normally when that happens, that's the compressor running out of air, but we actually just ran out of time on the zone. So we're gonna go ahead and run it one more time. Sorry for the bad focus. There you go. 5 more minutes. I actually extended the other one to 8. That compressor's awesome, guys, I'm telling you. Just that last one. Still holding on. Friggin' finally. Alright, that took about 11 minutes to finally get all the water out of this line. But as you can see, we're just about done, finally. Might have been a false alarm. See how it came back? That's awesome. Like I said, guys, I've got no explanation why these lines hold so much water. Oh, there we go. Alright, that's what I wanted to see. Alright, so really quick, I'm gonna go back into the back room and give you guys a look at the compressor. Just did its little self-purge type deal, but you hear it running. But if you take a look, we're still holding on to that pressure. I didn't turn this off and let it recharge at any point during that blowout. This has just been the pressure it's been holding. Temp doesn't look bad either. Having a compressor like this at home would be awesome, but I unfortunately don't have 3-phase power there. So we're gonna go ahead and turn the valve off here, just like that, and as you can see, that dropped. And then we're also gonna go ahead and shut it off on the control app. Now the reason I do it that way is just to save some stress on the valves so they don't have to stop that much air pressure. Doing it either way should realistically be fine. That's just how I prefer to do it because that's how I've always done it at home. So that's how I'm gonna do it here. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and move on to zone 2. Zone 2 is over here, kind of close to the vacuum area, but right under the light post is where the zone essentially starts. So same deal as last time. We're gonna go ahead and get it started from the phone, start with 5 minutes, and then just go from there. There's quite a few more heads on this zone as well. Already got one down that way that's blowing air. It's good to see, but we still got quite a ways to go. Here goes another. Looks like this one might not take as long. Still got one over there that's kind of holding on. So that's for the rest of them. So I think we've hit the limit of the compressor. We're starting to lose a little bit of pressure. So I'm going to go ahead and shut the valve in the back room again and let it charge back up. So the pressure gauges in here actually still look fine, but regardless, I'm going to go ahead and give the compressor just a little bit of a rest here. Although the temp still looks okay, it's still better to be safe than sorry because I don't want to have to replace this air compressor. Don't think I'll have to, even if I just let it run the whole time, but we're gonna still just go ahead and give it just a little bit of a break. I gave the compressor some time to recharge. As you can see, it's in the auto position still, but not running. So we're gonna go ahead and go back out there. I've already opened the output valve on this thing again. So we're gonna head back out to zone 2 and give it another go. There we go, that's what I wanted to see. Very nice. This one's actually just about done. I think we can call that good. You know what? I wonder if this one's going down sooner because there's more heads on the zone. I don't know, I don't remember it doing that last year. Regardless though, we're gonna go ahead and move on to zone 3. Zone 3 runs all the way along this strip of lawn right here. Now this actually used to have more than 30 heads on it, but I cut that in half with the MP rotators. So the only heads on this zone now are on this side right here by the curb, and they all shoot out this way. Used to be there was one here and then one directly across from it, but that was freaking useless. We do of course have the water pressure to supply that with 120 psi at minimum from the city. I don't know how they managed to get that here. We're gonna go ahead and open zone 3 with the air. And there they all are. there's quite a bit on this one. This one might take a little bit of time since the line's so long. Well, it looks like this one got moved. There we go. Always great when that happens. I can hear some behind me blowing air, but it starts all the way up here, as you can see with that head, and then goes all the way down that way. Pretty cool. Now I know these are kind of a little close to each other, but that's just how the original ones were, so we opted to just leave it because it was easier. It's actually not taking as long as I thought it would. So far, the longest one has been zone 1. Looks like we're down to just the last 2 here. These are actually MP3000s, because as you can see, there's more grass compared to the rest of it. Looks like we're losing a little bit of pressure here. So we're gonna go ahead and give the compressor some time to charge back up. It kind of makes sense that it would run out on this one because there's still more than 15 heads on that zone. I don't know who installed this system. All I know is whoever did it wasn't very smart. Nice focus, oh well. We're gonna give the compressor some time to charge back up, and then we'll be back. I just hit the button for zone 3 yet again. There we go. So it looks like we do still have some water left in the line back there, and also down here, but the middle sprinklers seem to be pretty empty. But here's this last one here. We're dealing with our pressure loss again because there are so many heads on this zone. I'll come back to this one, but for the sake of the video, I'm gonna move on to zone 4. Although realistically, this would be fine. This wouldn't freeze because again, the lines are pretty far underground to begin with, and the majority of the water is already out of the line. But to be safe, I will come back to this zone after I'm done shooting this video and get the remainder of the water out of it. Zone 4 is where we get to start getting into the rotors, and it actually starts just a little bit to the right of that post right there. So just like usual, I'm gonna go ahead and hit the button on the app and get it going. So there's one of the 6-inch pop-up stainless steel i20s. That one actually just got replaced about a week ago because it got hit with a lawnmower, or the tire of a lawnmower, so we got it nice and lowered for them. These things are violent when they're being blown out, especially with the high flow nozzles we have on them. Got a couple more of the 6-inchers over here. Not entirely sure how well you're actually going to be able to hear me because this is actually pretty loud. Yet another one right here. We're doing our pressure fluctuation thing again. This one's actually plastic. I did forget to mention there are a couple of plastic i20s because during the replacement process, the supplier I went to didn't have stainless steel ones in stock a couple of the times I went. Here's another one. They've also got the non-potable water cap, even though it's potable water going through it. But this is all they had in stock for i20s that day I went last year. This one didn't take too long either. This one's doing the mist. And that one over that way still has some water left in it, but all the ones up over here are just doing air. So that's nice. This was a nice quick one. Gonna go ahead and let that one down over there go ahead and finish draining, and then we'll move on to zone 5. Zone 5 is more in the middle of this, what I call the field area of the lawn. With Zone 4 totally empty, I did let that last rotor over there finish draining before I moved on to this zone. We're gonna go ahead and turn on Zone 5. There's one of the heads right there, so I might get a little bit wet. Standing right here, almost dropped the phone too. And it was aiming away from me. Perfect. All right, so we got one over there. These are all I-20s as well, by the way. The majority of them are plastic though, if I remember correctly. We got two more over this way. That's the sound you want to hear. These are loud. I'm gonna come over to the sidewalk because I don't want to aim my lights directly into the road. But we have another I-20 right here. This is a 4-inch plastic pop-up with the pink top. These rotors, I believe these all have the 4 GPM low angle nozzle on them. A few have the high angle, but I don't think any of them are higher than 4 gallons per minute. But they're loud when it's just air being forced through them. They're far from quiet. And this zone's looking pretty good. That's the last one with just a little bit of mist, but as you can see, all the other ones are blowing just air. So that's good. Now normally we would be moving on to zone 6. So yeah, here, off topic for a second, but there's one with the standard angle nozzle. The low angle ones are gray. But as I was trying to say, normally we would move on to zone 6, but zone 6 actually doesn't have anything on it on this system. And zone 7 is up there, and since I'm already down here, we're gonna do zone 8. Now zone 8 is just it's actually just a singular standalone head in this corner. Now we've been having issues with the valves, or the valve for this zone. Sometimes it won't open. Hopefully today we get lucky and it'll open for us. So we're gonna go ahead and switch it over and see if we get lucky and have the valve work. Zone 8, actually it's pending. Gotta stop zone 5 first. There we go. And it doesn't look like it's gonna happen. All right, that's a shame. I'll have to manually open that zone later on. I probably won't do it on camera because it's just this one head in this corner and it's just another I-20. And yes, that valve will be replaced next season. We'll either replace the valve or just move that head to zone 5 because honestly, the idea of having just one head have its own zone, kind of stupid, but it's up to the owner of the wash. Anyway, back up here in this little grass island deal here. This is where zone 7 is. We're back to MP rotators for this zone. There we go. This is the only zone on this system to use the SR MP rotators, the short radius ones. Doing pretty nice here. The reason we use those is because we didn't want overspray, because I'm actually standing on the driveway where people go to drive up into the entrance of the wash. But basically we just didn't want overspray shooting from here up onto the sidewalk, so we did some short range ones, and then right there in the middle there's actually, I believe, an MP 1000 360 degree, not the SR one. And they're not supposed to mix them because of the precipitation rates are different, but we did it anyway and it's been working fine. But that's up there in the middle to cover what the short radius MP rotators miss. And as you can see, even though it's October right now, grass still looks pretty good. There's quite a few heads on this zone as well. And these are also 6-inch pop-up Pro Spray PRS 40s. And all of these are pressure regulated down to 40 psi, not only because that's the recommended pressure for these nozzles, but because, as I've said a few times during this video, the city water pressure here is higher than 120 psi. So these are all being regulated down to 40 psi, which gives you the proper precipitation rate along with the proper distance that the nozzles are rated for. Something I'd like to do at my house eventually is get everything switched over to pressure regulated bodies, but who knows if that'll happen or not. Looks like we're just about done here. Getting there. I will say it again, I know I've said it a bunch of times during this video, but it is super nice to not have to let the compressor charge up fully before continuing. You just kind of let it run and it holds pressure the whole time. The only reason I let it recharge for the other zones is because there were so many heads. But on this one, as you can see, it's been running for a good amount of time here, and all the heads are still popped up. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and let this run for just a little bit longer, and then I'll close off the video for you guys. And there we go, guys. That's basically it. It's just these two left doing a little bit of mist. And that's the end of the 5 minutes on the timer. Gonna go ahead and open that back up really quick just to make sure we got everything out of the line. There we go. That's looking good to me. It's always funny seeing these sprinklers popped up and nothing but air coming out of them. Or mist. We do have a little bit of mist coming out of this one too. We're gonna go ahead and call this zone good. As you can see, there's nothing left but little bits of mist coming out of them every once in a while. But that's it. That's all the water out of the line. So there you go, guys. That's basically it for winterizing the sprinkler system here at this car wash. There are a couple other things I'm going to do though. First off, I've got the air hose I used. There's another adapter in here. You don't have to do this, but what I'm gonna do is go ahead and open the valve on the output of the compressor just to make sure there's no water trapped anywhere in the line. Seems like we're good. I didn't see any water coming out of there. And also, I just know a few of you are going to ask what the sprinkler controller looks like while you control it from your phone. I've actually been kind of wondering that too because I've never really looked at it, so let's go do that really quick. Here's the controller right here, guys. As you can see, when it's inactive, it just shows the time and a little high and low temp forecast. But from my phone, I'm gonna go ahead and start zone 5. And there you go. It's basically what I thought would happen if the camera would focus. There we go. It just shows the name of the zone and the amount of time. And if we go ahead and stop it, it just goes right back to the little forecast. So there you go. That's what happens on the controller when you're controlling it through the app. So there you go, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and end off this video for you. I hope you enjoyed the extra sprinkler content. I'm not sure if this is going up before or after I post the winterization of the system at my house. So if it's already up, go ahead and watch that if you haven't already. And if it's not up yet, it will be up a week from the release of this video. But as far as this video goes, guys, that's gonna be it. I gotta put this air hose away and then go home. So that's gonna be it, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. And as usual, thank you for watching.